Catch a wave of excitement with the new Guy Harvey $500,000 Florida Cash Scratch-Off, featuring tons of cash and one-of-a-kind promotional prizes. Get yours today. The Florida Lottery. It's your ticket.
At Taco John's, you can expect one thing. So good. As in quality ingredients. Used in tacos and burritos made just for you. Every single bite.
So good.
Expect nothing less at Taco John's.
How's everybody doing? Good to see everyone again.
Good to see you in person.
I know, right?
So much better.
Definitely.
How's camp been treating you?
It's good. Been good. I think overall pretty solid as a group. Coming to work every day. Guys are really putting the time in, working their craft every day. Really seen improvement really from everybody across the board. So pleased with the work, pleased with where we're at. Still got a ways to go. I think this will be a big week for us. As an offense, a lot of the guys playing this week and playing together as a unit. A lot of those guys didn't play in the game last week, so excited about seeing them play.
Coach, what have you seen from Jalen Darden?
Yeah, Jalen's, I think that anytime you come in as a rookie, there's a lot of things you got to learn. So he's getting the playbook, learning as he goes, taking each rep one at a time. Learning from his mistakes, but I think that he's a really talented guy, really talented player. I think he brings a lot to the table. I think he can be explosive. I think he's very shifty. I think when he gets the ball in his hands, he can make a lot of plays. It's just about getting him there, right? Being in the right spot, putting the time in to study. So I like where he's progressing.
Without giving anything away, obviously, is there plans to try to get him involved during game times with that speed and with that elusiveness?
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's on teams. He's gonna play some there. You see him. I'm not sure if he'll be the starting returner or not. I'm not the special teams coordinator, but I think that he's been doing it in practice and in games and stuff. So that's definitely a way that he can touch the ball. Offensively, we'll see where he fits week to week. If he's up, we'll find a way to try to get him in the game and get some balls in his hands for sure.
Coach Arians talked about Antonio just looking like the guy he was a few years ago when he was an all-pro. Thought that the knee surgery was something he probably needed for a while. What have you seen out of him from last year to this year in terms of his growth in this offense?
Yeah. Just getting in this offense and being in this offense, I think him getting more comfortable with the terminology, the timing with Tom, I think that's huge, right? I mean, he came in mid-year last year. He was in the offense with BA at Pittsburgh, so there was some terminology and stuff, some recall that he could remember, but that was a long time ago. So I think just having the rest of the year under his belt, having an off season, having a training camp, I think he's more comfortable from that standpoint for sure. And then obviously not being injured and not having the knee issues, I think that helps him too. He's able to go out there more. He's able to give more effort and energy to his routes and to his technique. So.
Physically, where do you see the difference in his route running, right? Because obviously, if a guy doesn't have a stable knee, it's really hard for them to stop and go.
Yeah, I think he.
Directions, and that's what he does so well.
Yeah, and I think he can stick his foot in the ground better, I guess, to answer your question specifically. I think that because the knee's not bothering him as much, I think if you go back and watch from the Saints game in the playoffs, he couldn't stick his foot in the ground to get out of the route, right? So he couldn't go anymore. I think so that element of it is what's helping him.
This is an incredibly deep and talented group, right? Everybody around the league talks about this group. It's kind of led, I guess, from the front. When you look at Mike Evans, there's been years where his body didn't look like this. We haven't seen him miss a rep, much less in practice. What do you make about his, eighth year, I guess, to say that puts forth that effort?
Yeah, I think it's his mindset. I mean, when I first got here and met Mike, he wanted to win. And that's everything I've heard about him before I got here. And I think just tasting that and being able to experience that, I think it drives him even more. So he came into camp the best I've seen him. This is year 3 for me, for sure, getting after it every day. Really hasn't had a day off. So I'm proud of Mike and where he's at right now. So just really excited to see him, get started with this season. Yeah, he said no vet days for him, so he didn't want any.
Have you seen that kind of drive trickle
Yes, definitely. And really from really all the guys, all the vets in my room, Chris, Mike, AB, I think they do a great job of, bringing the energy in their own way. Chris, you're not going to hear Chris. He's not going to talk. He's quiet. You guys have been around him. But just the way he practices, the way he goes about his business, the way he makes the catch, it energizes people, right? You might hear AB a little bit more, but that's the way he's going to energize you. So definitely all those guys, I commend them because I think they've done a phenomenal job in our room, really helping the younger guys, helping Jalen and some of those other younger guys that maybe haven't played as much. They've done a really good job with them.
It's a selfish position by nature, right? They can't throw the ball to themselves. Everybody's always open. That's usually the conversation. But you've got a guy like Mike Evans, even Chris to some degree, who is in a contract year, essentially say, sure, bring in AB, bring in Gronk, other targets that you take away from me. I just want to win. How much easier does that make it for everybody else to follow?
Oh, extremely easy. And especially in that room, it's so hard and challenging. And we talk about, coming into this year, it's a new, even as a wide receiver unit, we got to reestablish that. But the one thing that I said is that's what's going to stay the same, right? That's what I loved last year about the group is that when AB scored, everyone's excited. When Gronk scored, everyone's excited. It didn't matter. And sometimes you can see that with wideouts for sure. But these guys have been phenomenal. They're great teammates. They're for each other. And that's what it's about at the end of the day.
There was a couple instances in camp coming off days where there were some drops, and we even have seen it in preseason games. What have you been able to kind of gather from that? What do you think maybe those drops are from? Are they from nerves? And how do you guys kind of get past that?
Concentration drops is one of them. Just lack of concentration, whether that's the humidity out here, fatigue making a coward of you, getting, all up in your emotions at times. I think that happens. At the end of the day, those things happen at times, right? Training camp, there's going to be some ups and downs. Unfortunately, we did have a little drought there, where we had some drops, and you never want that as the receiver. You never want that as a receiver's coach. But those things are going to happen, and you just got to keep on fighting and keep coming back to practice the next day. Get on the jugs machine, catch as many balls as you can.
Are you feeling more consistent with the pass catching as you guys get ready for
Yeah,
the regular season?
definitely. I think that for us, I think it kind of happened in the middle. We had a couple bad practices where we let some balls on the ground, but it's been overall pretty consistent since then.
Mental fatigue may play a role in it too.
Yeah, I think some of it had to do with that. So, you're going to get challenged in training camp. Here in Florida, that's going to be a part of it. But I think that mentally you got to be prepared to push through any of that stuff. And heck, we're going to have some games here in September.
Everybody says turn the page, right? Super Bowl's over. We're back down in the mountain. But a week ago Wednesday, Mike Evans couldn't catch a ball, and then he comes back, and the Titans won that day, and then they came back and he was dominant. Maybe he was dominant. Do you think in some ways that was good for you guys to say, hey, everybody's right here to give us our best shot. This is a new year now.
Yeah, I really enjoy those practices when you're going against another team. Number one, it kind of breaks up training camp a little bit. New competition, and we're not going against Dean and Carlton and Bunnan every play. So I like that element of it. But then it also gives us a chance to see where we're at, right? We're going against a good playoff team, from the AFC. They got great players on both sides of the ball also. So I much rather see that now, right? And what I believe in is it's not what happens to you, but it's about how you respond. And I felt like we were able to respond. We don't want to wait for those moments, but I'd much rather learn those moments now than wait week 1 or week 5 and let those things show up then.
What have you seen out of Lewis Murphy as an assistant?
Yeah, Murph. I love Murph. He's before, him coming here as a intern, but he's done a phenomenal job. Really, guys have a lot of respect for him. He brings a lot to the room. Very passionate about football, but he's been a joy to be around. Also, Andre Lewis, that came into the room as assistant receivers coach. He's done a really nice job coming in and bringing a lot to the table, and also gives us a different perspective too from a quarterback. So that always helps having that in the room too.
Coach Arians called out kind of, Tyler Johnson for coming in a little bit heavier, but even throughout that time where he was cutting weight, he was still making plays and catching balls. What have you seen out of his development going into year 2?
Yeah, he was disappointed coming in. Like you said, he was a little bit overweight at that point, but he was disappointed in himself. He learned from that. I think he's put a lot of time in to get to where he needs to be for training camp. And he's still making plays. It's just for him to be able to move more, move better, move faster. He doesn't need to be that heavy, and he knows that. And I think that he's in a good place now.
And we've talked about, the top of the roster, how deep, but even the bottom of the roster, guys like Sil Grayson, Jay Mick, Travis Johnson, guys who are going to have a hard time making the team. What have you seen out of those guys? And, obviously practice squad is a spot that, maybe some of those guys will land, but what have you seen out of them this year?
Yeah, they've been fighting their tails off every day. Mick and Cyril and Travis, I love those guys. Travis came on last year, but I've been with Mick and Cyril for a while now. Really enjoy those guys, their approach to the game every day. Mick's kind of my energy guy. Him and AB are kind of my energy guys in the room. So I love really all of them. But specifically, each one of them, I think that they all had different things that they've been improving on. They're all kind of different players, but I think that each one of them are getting better. And I think they're just trying to put themselves in the best situations, whether that's here or whether that's somewhere else. But I think I've definitely seen improvement.
For you, Tom Brady could probably coach any position, right? 21 years in the league, done what he's done. But obviously has to trust receivers, really sees things a certain way. How much is that interaction is there between your group and him, and how much does that help you and others try to figure this thing out?
Yeah, there's a lot of that going on. In fact, a couple of days last week, we all watched one-on-ones together. And Tom's just talking through, okay, hey, what's the route? He's letting Gronk talk about the routes, or OJ, or Mike, or Chris, AB. Same thing with the running backs, Lenny and Rowe. And they're all just having a big discussion in there. And then, they talk about the routes and the technique. And then Tom's saying, okay, well, what about this? Or, hey, this is where I'm thinking going with this ball. Or this is where I want your eyes to be. And so I think it's huge. It's the little things. It's the details. The thing I can say about Tom is he's a great communicator, especially with his teammates. And so that's been great for me to see. And I'm just a little fly on the wall. They're not supposed to be coaches in there, but I sit just so, I make sure I'm on the same page with him. But it's like that even in our big meetings, right? I mean, Byron's in there, and we're talking through the plays. And, most of the time it's Byron, doing it. But when Tom sees something, he's going to speak up and communicate to the position groups, whatever it is that he sees.
How much more comfortable are they giving him feedback? 'Cause that's something that I've heard before, is that, Tom really does, yes, he's going to coach guys up, but he really relies on them to give him feedback as well on what they're seeing and how they're doing things.
Yeah, he says it. He says it. I'm not saying I know everything. I'm not saying that I'm always right. So that's where he does want the feedback to come in. And I think for Tom, the type of guy that he is, such a good person and humble person, that I think guys feel that and know that. And I think they're at a point with him where they are able to, go to him and say, well, Tom, hey, this is what I was thinking on this route. This is why I look back here. This is why I stuck my foot in the ground here. And they're able to, iron it out.
With the recent COVID scare with Tennessee, with Coach Vrabel obviously testing positive, and then with Ryan Suckup testing positive here as well, Coach Arians said that, there are league rules and then there are his rules. How much of that was kind of a wake-up call for you guys, where it's like, okay, this variant's serious, and we really have to buckle down just like we did last year?
Yeah, I think it's, each individual is kind of taking their own approach to it. Obviously, BA sets the tone from that standpoint, and that's what he did all last year for us. For me personally, I've decided to put the mask back on in the building. Just, I got kids and stuff at home, so that's kind of was my approach to it. So. All right.